been having and ask you to share your thoughts comparing and contrasting the Chinese diplomacy and interlocking relationships and alliances with the American Congress's rapturous embrace of Prime Minister Netanyahu calling for more genocide?
Well, it's the perspective of the day after or maximum next week, with the perspective of a civilization state with 5,000 years of diplomacy behind them. And the fact that they see what do these forever wars mean? Who are the targets? For a long time, the targets were Islam, the lands of Islam, and even Islam itself. And for the past 2.5 years, the main target is Russia. And the next target will be them, China. They read American internal politics very, very well. Not only the Politburo, but the main Chinese think tanks, at the main universities or the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences. They have America and Americas as specialists at the highest level, and many of them spent a long time in the US and in the West, and they understand the West very, very well. And they understand the logic of the forever wars, in fact. So they are thinking ahead, just like they do 5-year plans in sequence. For instance, only a few days ago, they were planning everything until 2035. They have to plan the next stages of these forever wars, which will include them directly. Not only South China Sea, not only provocations using Taiwan, but provocations with the Chinese neighbors. And another example, which was just happened. What just happened in Bangladesh, which was a color revolution, where the two main targets of this color revolution are India and China at the same time, two BRICS again. So they understand that this is a war. The forever wars now are forever wars against the BRICS, especially, and the most important BRICS. The most important BRICS are 4 BRICS: Russia, China, India, and Iran. And the Chinese understand that. And the main problem for the BRICS is that inside BRICS and inside the SCO, they need, let's say, a concerted position and a concerted diplomacy and geopolitical and geoeconomic offensive, well integrated among that, and that includes these strategic partnerships. They know who they are up against. They know the crisis in the US and in the West as a whole. They know about the pyramid of derivatives. They know about all that. But the difference is the Russians are on the front line because there is a hot war on their Western borders. And for the Chinese, the war is still very, very far away. But why they are understanding the Russian position for these past 2.5 years, and why do they understand the Palestinian position to the point of bringing all the Palestinians to Beijing and say, we are behind you. Unite, and we are behind you.
Here is Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. This is just a few weeks ago, but with I think you'll agree, excellent grasp of America's view of its own hegemony. He's at the UN.
When the United States entered the world stage in Afghanistan, Iraq, Libya, how did it end? What peaceful changes for the better occurred there? Now, when they repeat like a mantra, we will support Ukraine for as long as it takes, I'm curious, how long will it take? Like in Afghanistan, where it took 20 years to realize that you lost, or in Iraq, where you also left, although now you are trying to stay despite the Iraqi parliament's decision that the US should withdraw its troops, or like in Libya, where the state collapsed, and now everyone is trying to piece it back together. A multipolar world is a reality. It's not something someone invented.
He's got an excellent grasp on what's going on. Last question. You and I have not spoken since Prime Minister Netanyahu received 58 standing ovations in an hour-long speech at the U.S. Congress, a response that our colleague and friend, Professor Jeff Sachs, described as rapturous.
Yes.
And the longest of those was terrible. The longest of those standing ovations was when he condemned the freedom of speech, condemning the demonstrators outside the building. How did the world, not the West, the rest of the world, view this lapdog response by the American Congress to this over-the-top bellicosity by the Israeli prime minister?
Especially around here in Southeast Asia, in Asia as a whole, in Central Asia, in West Asia, for obvious reasons, across Eurasia, most of Africa, and great parts of Latin America. This was the graphic illustration of a perpetual wag the dog, in fact, where we don't know who the dog is and where the tail of the dog is and which way they're going. This was really tragic from the point of view of the image of America as a beacon of fairness, freedom, liberty, etc. It just takes one situation like this. It just takes 58 standing ovations to destroy your record, practically forever. In fact, I think the US will never recover from what happened. You cannot endorse a genocide in